Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another of the lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And today for Wednesday, let's continue our way through St. Mark's Gospel. We are on chapter 12, beginning at verse 38. And he said unto them in his doctrine, Beware of the scribes which love to go in long clothing and love salutations in the marketplaces, and the chief seats in the synagogues and the uppermost rooms at feasts, which devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayers. These shall receive greater damnation. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow hath cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For they all did cast of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Okay, short lesson for today. But interesting, there's a couple of different things to deal with. First of all, Jesus gives this warning against the scribes, these religious leaders of the day for the Jewish people, because, they liked being important. And boy, this is a hazard for us clergy, right? Because we do wear long clothing, and people walk around and say, hey, Father, nice to see you. Good to see you, Father. So we do get those salutations in the marketplace as well. And we get the chief priests, chief seats, not in the synagogue anyway, but at least we get the chief seats up front in the church. But of course, the issue for them is not only that they're vain and they're doing their observance of the religious rites for their own edification and not to glorify God, but then it also says they devour widows' houses and for a pretense make long prayers. So in other words, they're just doing it to show off, and then they're actually taking money from those who, by absconding means. Obviously, all of this is very bad. And then he moves in from there into this talk about the treasury and how the rich were giving. And this poor woman was giving. She only gave a little bit. They gave a lot. But he said, look, they're just giving out of what's left over. She's giving all that she has, right? She's giving out of her absolute desire to glorify God and to serve the Lord. But there is something to think about this, and that is that it's tomorrow's lesson. I'll give you a head start. You're allowed to read ahead in the Bible, by the way. Always allowed to do that. But, Jesus then in the next section, the next bit goes on when somebody talks about how beautiful the temple is, right? The treasury is where they're throwing the money in for the temple. Jesus then says, look, this is transitory. This is going to pass away, that this is going to go away, and there won't be any more of the temple. So in some ways, both the rich and the poor are wasting their time in tossing it into this particular collection, because this is going to be destroyed, because the new faith, the new religion, is not based on a place in Jerusalem where the worship of God is happening and where sacrifices have to be made. There will be one sufficient sacrifice, one offered for the sins of the whole world on the cross by Jesus Christ. That'll actually happen just outside of the city of Jerusalem, and its effect will be for all of us, for you and for me. So am I saying don't give to the work of the church? Well, that would be very bad for me to say that. God still wants you to be a cheerful giver. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. And of course, the vestry would also not be happy with me if I told you that not to give. We do need to support the ministry of the church so we can do the work that God has given us to do as the church. But this is not where we put it, folks. This is not our end all and our be all. We give out of gratitude to God. Right? And we give that 10% if we're working towards a tithe, as is the biblical image. But in the end, what's more important than what we give in financial support is what we give of our life, right? And what we give to each other in Jesus' name. And that's our love and our service. So we need to do all three things, right? We give of our tithe, the money, we give of our talents, we contribute to the life of the church and her ministries, and we give the time as well. And we give our whole heart to God in Jesus Christ. So today's Wednesday, 12:15 Holy Communion, 4 o'clock evening prayer, and I do hope to see you in church. And until then, may your Wednesday be full of blessings.